Hello, hi there everybody. So I'm here today to introduce the MCS or the Gateway Case Study exam for you. Now I have a lot of students who come from the exemptions route, directly taking the MCS, not taken a case study exam before, from the FLP route, whatever route, even if you're on the traditional route. Once you are on the MCS, it's very important to know how to study, what areas to focus on, and that's what this video is about. This is the start to the MCS because we should know what exam we are studying for before we actually start studying, because otherwise students will say that okay, E2, P2 and F2 is part of this exam, so let me just start mugging up everything. But is that what the exam needs? Is that the need of the exam? So first place I ask everybody to start with is know the pattern, know the structure, know the important skills that you need for this exam, so you can focus your attention that way, and then eventually you can have a positive exam experience. So this is a very important video to start with, just to know what the exam is, the pattern of the exam, and I will run you through everything within this video. Again, we are Global Pass Rate Excellence Award holders for 3 years in a row. So this is well thought out. We have created this video to best suit your learning, to best help you learn, and to make sure that you have a positive exam experience. Now, any case study exam is 3 pillars. I always recommend this and I always say this, and I'll keep saying it through the video as well, so it's hammered into your mind. The first pillar is actually knowing what the exam is, which this video will do for you, plus revision focus. So first pillar is what this exam is and revision focus. Second pillar is the pre-scene. Third pillar is mock writing practice or writing structure, writing practice. All three of which are included and will slowly be drip fed to you through my course. And as you move deeper into the course, every part will be explained by me. But at the onset, always remember and come back to these 3 pillars. Anywhere you get stuck, think, okay, is this relevant to the important pillars of this exam? Only then spend your time on that particular aspect. And I'm not just saying it waking up one fine day. Thousands of students have gone through the courses and they have achieved excellent pass rates. That is why this course works, and that is why we follow this let's say blueprint that we have set out. So in the MCS exam, first pillar is knowing the exam and knowing what to revise. So the first pillar of this exam is knowing this exam, knowing the structure of the exam. So in the MCS, your role is that of a mid-level finance manager. So you have been given the role of a mid-level finance manager. It tests your ability to draw together E2, P2 and F2 knowledge and apply it to a realistic business challenge. The word apply is key over here, because most people think that okay, I'll learn everything in E2, P2 and F2. But if you don't know how to apply it, if you can't visualize yourself as a mid-level manager, only then will you be able to put yourself in that situation and come up with realistic business oriented suggestions, which is what this exam wants. So again, this exam is not about only E2, P2 and F2. It's about being able to apply that knowledge in a realistic business scenario. So remember, you step into the shoes of a management level finance professional who's dealing with mid-level tasks. You will often be asked, what do you think? How can we apply this? Can you assist with this? You will only be able to do that if your visualization is to point and you know that, okay, this exam is about role playing, not about copy pasting my E2, P2 and F2 knowledge over here. Second, in this exam, because we are speaking of the structure of this exam, your role is that of a finance manager. And because we are speaking of the structure, this exam is going to be structured around pre-scene material. Now, what is the pre-scene? A lot of students are taking the exam for the first time. So I got to mention this. and through my course I will detail on this as well. So what is the pre-scene? The pre-scene is just a hypothetical company which CIMA has created, and then they will give you 25 odd pages for that particular company, explaining that company, its market, its operations, its industry, its technology, its production, everything, its financials, everything about that company will be explained in 25 odd pages which CIMA releases. So there will be two pre-scenes that release, one for the May and August exam and one for the November and February exam. Now for the May exam, the pre-scene is released in March, end of March. So you have the pre-scene releasing end of March. Your exam is in May. You have lots of time, a month and a half sometimes. Same for November, the pre-scene releases end of September. So again, you have a good month and a half for your preparation. And this same pre-scene is going to be tested upon in February, and same pre-scene is going to be tested upon as May in August. So May and August use the same pre-scene, November and Feb use the same pre-scene. The questions are different, the exam is different, but the pre-scene remains the same over two windows. Why am I telling you this? Because CIMA is giving you the opportunity to help you visualize better. They know that for you to visualize yourself as a mid-level manager, you will take time. You will need to know your company. That is why they are releasing the pre-scene in advance. Sometimes, 1 week, sometimes giving you chances to read the pre-scene as much as possible. So if you read the pre-scene once a week, as much as possible, you will start to feel that you are part of the company and your visualization job will become easier. See, before we are starting a new job, all of us will research about the company, know what the company is good at, bad at, everything we will try to research. Same thing is being done by this pre-scene analysis or pre-scene material for you. If you read it, you will benefit from it 100%. So that's pre-scene material. In the exam, the questions are going to be scenario based. The questions are not going to directly tell you explain NPV, explain activity based costing. No, that is not the direct nature of questions. The questions are going to be scenario based. For my company, you already know your company because of the pre-scene information. And in the exam day, they'll give you some unseen information, which means they'll create a scenario. They'll tell you that our company is now starting a new factory. For example, we want to evaluate the investment in this factory with NPV. What are the advantages of using NPV in this situation? So you will have to know NPV, you will have to know the situation, you will have to know the pre-scene material. All three combined, only then you will be able to write a solid answer. So this exam is all about role playing, putting yourself in the situation and reading the pre-scene which is available. Remember, we are on the first pillar only, understanding this exam and understanding how to study, which I am coming to. So in this exam, your integrated knowledge of E2, P2 and F2 is going to be tested. And then we will also test how you clearly communicate that knowledge. Because we will be testing how you can type, how you can write, how you can present your thoughts, because this is a typed exam. So it's going to be very important to understand that, okay, I have the knowledge, but how do I communicate this knowledge? How do I pass this knowledge? How do I, put it into simple, easy sentences? That is the skill that we focus on when preparing for the case study exam. So through this video, we first came to know that ours is a role simulation, what is the pre-scene, what is the unseen, and the importance of communication, which will only be understood if you know the concept in your own simple words. So that's a little bit about the structure. Next, we are going to what to study. because in the first pillar it's the structure plus what to study. So I'm going to explain first what to study and then how to study it as well. Obviously, we are here to give you a holistic picture of everything, and through my course all the aspects will be dealt with for you, don't worry. So a lot of students will say that, okay, you told me that my role is that of a finance manager, but what is the realistic role of a finance manager in today's modern real world? If you have held the position of a finance manager, you'll know. But if you haven't, then finance managers are going to help the board, the company, with medium-term tactical goals, using digital tools, identifying opportunities which will add value for the business, work with finance peers, works with peers from different parts of the organization, help your junior colleagues, guide on accounting policies, have accounting knowledge, have costing knowledge, apply your professional judgment, showcase ethics. All of this is a very big, broad role of a finance manager. Finance manager can deal with a lot of things: costing, financing, performance management, lot of things. So then how does this tell me what to study? This is told by the CIMA blueprints, or the core areas which have been given by CIMA. These are called the blueprints, the core areas, or the I can statements. Students often jumble everything up, but the core areas are nothing but the expectation of CIMA for you to know this, for you to have this knowledge when you enter the real world as a finance manager. So CIMA assumes and CIMA says that to be a good finance manager, broadly, all of the categories that I spoke of, all of the roles that I spoke of, can be grouped into 5 core areas. That is what CIMA is saying. What are these core areas? The first core area is on your left hand side: evaluate opportunities to add value. Second one is implement senior management decisions. Third is manage performance and costs to aid value creation, measure performance, and manage internal and external stakeholders. So you can see a very broad role is what a finance manager holds. Now, you will say that this is so broad. Evaluate opportunities to add value could mean hundreds of different things. How is this telling me what to study? This is further simplified by you, because CIMA has given separate I can statements. Separate I can statements have been provided for each and every aspect of the core areas which they expect you to know. I've just put it on your screen, but I'm reading the first I can statement out loud. It says, I can select appropriate capital investment appraisal techniques and apply them. So these I can statements are directly giving you indication that go to your P2 syllabus and please revise the different investment appraisal techniques. And this I can statement is also telling you that you don't need to mug up anything, because you should be able to apply it. So what to study has been given to you by CIMA through this blueprint or core areas that they have released, which is further made easy by the I can statements individually that they have released. Trust me, there is a lot to go over, because if you just look at the first one, it says capital investment appraisal techniques. There are 6-7 techniques. Each technique's application, advantages, disadvantages, it's quite broad. So yes, indication has been provided. And through the course, we are going to give you my one-of-a-kind blueprint explanation documents. No other tuition provider will provide this. We will provide it to you deeper into the course, which will be one document for your entire revision. For your quick revision, The blueprint explanation document is created which pulls topics from E2, P2 and F2 into one area to help you revise in a much easier, quicker, faster way. But even if you're self-studying, even if you're studying through my course, use the blueprints to focus on the areas that CIMA is going to most importantly test you on. That is why these core areas are provided. So this dealt with the question of what to study. Now to how to study. That okay, you told me what to study, but how to study it? Through my course, we have laid down a very simple method for you to follow and for you to go through, which we call as the learning document method or the learnings method, which makes your study and your approach much more easier because we will tell you what specifically needs to be focused on. I'm just opening it up on your screen. No, so a lot of students worry about how should I study. My suggestion is study in a way where you can remember a concept quickly, easily, rapidly in 7 lines or 8 lines, because see, remember, knowledge is going to be used to apply. You are not going to be expected to write a thesis on any topic. So a lot of students, even from the FLP exemptions route, often worry about what to learn and how much to learn. Simple, do not rote learn, do not solve sums, no calculations, no formulas, nothing. Your explanation of a concept is what matters, because concept plus application in that scenario is key. So application is holding the major value over here. For example, my learning documents help you focus on application even when you are doing revision. See, it says activity-based costing is a very important topic from a case study perspective. Know how it is different from the traditional model. Now, the traditional model is standard costing or, let's say absorption costing or marginal costing. How is ABC different from them? That is what I need to close my eyes and now visualize. Think. If I have done my ABC revision from my revision course, from my study notes, which we have available for you, then I should be able to answer this question quickly. How is activity-based costing different? It is different because it costs individual activities. It uses the cost pools. What is a cost pool? It uses cost drivers. What is a cost driver? Then calculates cost driver rate. And then this cost driver rate is multiplied to the amount of activities consumed by a particular product. Hence, we get a very accurate product costing if activity-based costing is used. You saw this was my own explanation. None of this is there in my notes. None of this is there in the revision course. So my revision course, my revision notes, my mind maps that we have will help you understand the concept. But how to remember the concept? Because it's impossible to remember everything. This exam doesn't need that. This exam needs 6, 7, 8 lines of every topic in your own words. And obviously our one-of-a-kind Fin AI is there to help you, where you can simply type in the topic and within few seconds it will give you the entire revision for that particular topic. So technology has been incorporated into our course, which students are finding immensely helpful. So again, how to study is focusing on the concept and being able to explain that concept in your own simple words. 6, 7, 8 lines tops. Tick, move on. Tick, move on. That's how we achieve the first pillar of this exam. Knowing the structure, knowing what to study through the blueprints, knowing how to study it through this method that I explained. Now to the second pillar of this exam. The second pillar of this exam is the pre-scene pillar. See, the pre-scene is going to be released to you months in advance. Your job is to be supremely comfortable with the pre-scene. The pre-scene is going to be available in the exam. The original CIMA pre-scene document will be available in the exam. But if you have to spend time reading it and going through it in the exam, why have they given it to you 1 month in advance? Why is it given to you in advance? So that you can use it, so that you can have knowledge from it, so that when the time comes you can straight away apply without thinking. So when you go through the pre-scene in your preparation, do not try to memorize. Understand the bigger picture. Understand the layout. Understand your company's position, your market, your product lines, everything, and read through it multiple times. That's the first thing. Just reading it once will not help. 5, 7, 10 times before the date of your exam, because every time you read through it, you'll figure out something else. You'll figure out something new. So my suggestion is read through it as much as possible, understand the big picture, and do not memorize anything. When you're studying with us, we will do the entire pre-scene analysis for you. The entire pre-scene explanation document for you will come from us, well annotated, well detailed, well explained, with a good 2.5 3 hour video as well. But if you're self-studying, or even if you're going through the pre-scene by yourself with my document, your job should be to look out for E2, P2 and F2 concepts. For example, in the first line, if it says that we are a multinational company, for example, straight away there should be a light bulb in your mind. Multinational, different currencies, IS-21, foreign currency transactions from my F2 syllabus becomes an important discussion over here. See, if you have the knowledge, or if you're studying with expert tutors like us, this job becomes much easy because we do all of that for you. But if you're doing it by yourself as well, these light bulbs have to quickly come for you. Flag E2 areas, P2 areas, F2 areas as and when you can, because these are going to be major aspects which you can revise and which you will, which you could be tested on. Be very clear to go through the financials as well. Again, we'll do the financial analysis for you, but financials lay out a very straightforward picture for this, for your company, for any company for that matter. Because financials tell you what the company is good at, what the company is not good at, plus other non-financial information given to you in the pre-scene gives a holistic understanding of the company. So to summarize, the pre-scene document is key. You got to go through it multiple times. You got to refer to it multiple times. And you got to have it at the back of your mind. Only then application will come to you naturally. Because without that, mindset of knowing or actually being a finance manager, it's going to be quite difficult for us to be able to apply or get into the shoes of finance manager in those 45 minutes which are given to you in the exam. So that's the second pillar of this exam done. Now to the third pillar of this exam. The third pillar is all about writing, or the knowledge that you got, the pre-scene application that you have, now actually putting it down and showcasing your communication skills. That is the next third pillar of this exam. So again, this video ties down to the three pillars. The first is knowing the structure, E2, P2 and F2, what to study, how to study, the pre-scene, and then writing. Through my course, we are going to give you 25 mock questions for practice. More than enough to put your head into the right frame. And then whatever the exam throws up to you, you will know what to do, because your muscle memory will be created in such a way that, okay, question is on my screen, I know what to do. First do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. That's how my course is created, to give you systematic typing practice when the time is right, obviously deeper into the course. First we'll work on our revision, then we'll work on our pre-scene, then slowly we'll start typing, and through my live lessons, we will be explaining each aspect and concept to you. So to know the structure and the writing for this exam, or rather the need for application in this exam, it's important to understand what the exam is going to look like. So this is going to be what you see on your screen is going to be the first screen that you see on the exam. This first screen tells you that there are 4 questions, 45 minutes for each question. It tells you the number of tasks, which means within each question you are asked to do a minimum of 2 replies or minimum of 2 questions within each question you are supposed to answer for this question, for this exam. There can be two tasks, 3 tasks or 4 tasks. Ideally for the MCS nowadays they have been asking 2 tasks only, but it doesn't matter because I'll show you the breakdown soon. Now it's very important to understand that in this exam, the first question will come on your screen and the timer will start going down. After 45 minutes are completed, you will automatically be taken to question number 2. You don't have the time or you don't have the chance to go back to question number 1 and review question number 1. You don't have that chance, you don't have that opportunity. So please do not leave any time on the timer. Use the entire 45 minutes for question number 1. Then go to question number 2 because you cannot go back. So question number 1, 45 minutes, done. Question number 2, 45 minutes, done. Question number 3, 45 minutes, done. Question number 4, 45 minutes, done. That's when the exam will be complete. You will have to be in that zone 3 hours continuous typing. It's a challenge, trust me. Especially if you don't have that muscle memory built up, which the practice is important and my course will give you systematically. So now a lot of students ask, what is this 40%? What is this 60% that they are giving over here? What is this 40, 60? It says percentage time to spend on each subtask. This is a recommendation that CIMA is giving you. That question number 1 has 2 tasks. This 40%, 60% you will see in the actual question as well. But because this is the first screen, it's mentioned over here as well. Let me just move to the actual question just to make it a little bit more realistic. This is the actual question that is going to be presented to you in the exam. Now first let's deal with what this 40% and 60% is. Firstly, important to understand that there are going to be 3 variants of this exam. Which means if I sit the exam today, somebody else sits it tomorrow, somebody else sits it 2 hours later, the computer will randomly assign an exam to us. There are 3 exams and anyone can be randomly assigned per window. There are 3 exams, 3 variants, CIMA calls it. Now this is obviously to prevent cheating or sharing or whatever you want to call it. But because there are 3 variants and randomly assigned, each variant will have different questions. So first variant, let's say, has a question on NPV and there are 2 other questions. Second variant has a question on let's say revenue sharing or recognition of revenue. 2 or 3 other questions. Third variant has a new set of questions. So different sets of questions. Now naturally, because there are so many different questions, the difficulty of each question will vary and hence the difficulty of each exam will vary. For example, the first exam or first variant had a question on NPV and 3 other questions which were relatively simpler concepts for application according to CIMA. The second variant had more trickier application and more trickier subjects, like let's say IFRS 15, IAS 21, whatever, business model or ecosystem related questions. So now everything is based on the pre-scene. Everything is based on E2, P2 and F2, but because the exam is different, the questions are different. So difficulty slightly varies. So CIMA says this is not fair. For the person who got the second variant is writing a more challenging exam. This is not fair. So what CIMA does is to remove this unfairness, CIMA will mark every student's exam first out of 100 marks. And then if you got the trickier variant, your score out of 100 will be multiplied by a higher weightage. Everybody's score first comes out of 100 and then a weightage is multiplied to get your final score out of 150, where you need to score 80 out of 150 to pass. That is why they call it scaled score. It's not an absolute score. Your absolute score is out of 100. Then a weightage is multiplied and your total becomes out of 150. Now you will say, what is this weightage? Nobody knows this weightage. It's subjective, arbitrary, CIMA decides it, never disclosed. So let's say you got the trickier variant, your score out of 100 will be multiplied by, let's say for example, weightage they decided 1.5. Easier one, weightage they decided 1.2. So whatever is your score multiplied by 1.2 if you got the easier variant. And then you should get 80 out of 150 to pass. This is the marking breakdown for the entire exam. So I always tell my students, can you control the weightage? No, right? Forget the weightage, throw it out of the window. I can only focus on the 100 marks which are important or which are in my control. So 100 marks is your total exam. And we know that there are 4 questions. So 100 divided by 4, each question is worth 25 marks. So this entire question number 1 that you see on your screen is worth 25 marks. From that, they are telling you that the first task is worth 40% of those marks. The first task is worth 40% of those marks. So 40 upon 100 into 25, which gives me 10. Right? So first task is worth 10 marks. Second task is worth 15 marks because it's 60 upon 100 into 25 giving me 15. Total 25 marks. Why is this important to understand? Because CIMA says one well explained point, one well explained argument gives you 2 marks. So if I need to score 5 marks or rather 10 marks, sorry, I will have to write at least 4 to 5 well explained points, well explained arguments. That is what this 40%, 50%, 60%, 30%, whatever percentage they give you, that is what it means. Always treat it this way. 100 is the total, so 25 marks per question. And then whatever percentage they've given you, we don't care. If it's 30%, then I take it 30 upon 100 into 25. Whatever is the total, those many divided by 2 because 1 point is equal to 2 marks. So in this case, 40% is 10 marks. I got to write 5 points and this is my aim. Then if I end up writing 4 points, I'll still have done a good job. Because this gives you an indication of how much you are expected to write, how much we want you to write to actually get your marks, to actually get your good credit. So this is the breakdown. Now what mistake students often make is they treat it as the time allocation. If you treat it as time allocation, 45 minutes per question, 40 upon 100 into 45, you take 18 minutes, let's say, for writing the first task. But in 18 minutes, how much are you expected to write? You write 2 points and you feel this is enough. But that is not going to be enough. That is why please always break it down point-wise like I am explaining. Total is 25, just do your percentages according to the task that they have given you. Divided by 2 is the number of points you are expected to write. So in this case, the first task is recommend with reasons whether or not flat hall should price rents on 3-year contracts differently from 1-year contracts that it currently issues. So whether we should price the rents differently, 2 points. We should not price the rents differently, 2 points. So I gave 2 subheadings, 2 points under each. I was easily able to write 4 points, I will get my marks and I will move on. When we go to mock question writing within my course, I will further help you understand how to do your subheadings, what a good point includes, how many lines, what to write, how to incorporate the pre-scene, all of that I will teach you. But in this introduction video, we are dealing with the exam structure and to help you understand the requirements for this exam. So if you haven't practiced typing, if you don't know E2, P2 and F2, if you don't know your pre-scene, how are you going to do all of this in 45 minutes? It's impossible. That is why practice is key, writing practice is key, which is the third pillar of this exam. And we will test you on scenario based questions like this, exactly like the exam, but related to your pre-scene. So you see this question, they've given you the question, task 1, task 2, like I explained, and then they've given you an extract, reference material. All of this is your unseen. All of this is your scenario, that okay, this is happening, what can be done about this? So your tasks, this task 1 and task 2 is based on this scenario which has been created. This is what they call unseen. I call it in simple words, scenario. So read the scenario, how to break down a question, scenario, all of that I will treat you through the course, explain to you through the course. Right now we are only understanding the exam structure. For you to further understand that writing is important, revision is important, pre-scene is important. Because over here you will have to bring up your, let's say in the second task, IFRS 15 knowledge from F2. You will have to bring up your pre-scene knowledge and then you will have to apply it. And then you will have to showcase your communication, writing skills. All of this we will work through in our course. So if you look at the overview of this exam, again, I have been repeatedly saying it. It's about simulation, so knowing what this exam is and applying your knowledge. Second, it's knowing your company in and out, your company situation in and out. Only then you can understand, okay, before my company was doing this, now it's moving to this. So you can suggest accordingly. And third, problem solving practice. Without practice, do not expect yourself to do well on this exam. And this course includes all the ingredients that you need as long as they are followed. So by mastering these 3 pillars, I'm sure you will do well on this exam. This is your introduction. Thank you.